Okay, so hey, beautiful beings, welcome in. And on today's show, we have Andrea Jackson and Nicky Hollins. Welcome in both.
Thank you.
Hello.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you. So Andrea supports women on their spiritual journey through offering space to gather, share, learn and grow, offering tools to empower others on their soul's journey, connecting with their inner goddess to live a loving and radiant life. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay.
And Nicky has recently launched her website, Oh My Goddess, and is passionate about cacao and the benefits of this beautiful medicine. And I love that you called yourself a humble student of Mama Cacao as well, Nicky.
Yeah.
So
definitely not an expert.
So, Andrea, can we start with yourself? Because I first came into cacao, I think it was through you. And I remember lots of people were talking about cacao and I didn't get it. And I remember thinking people are just talking about cocoa. I was like, what's this cacao stuff? And I remember purchasing some from yourself and exploring it. So for yourself, how did you come into cacao initially?
So yes, the first experience I had with cacao was actually in Glastonbury about 5 years ago, probably. We were staying at the ashram in Glastonbury, and a young lady just asked us if we wanted to attend. So I think that was my first experience around how beautiful ceremony can be. And we did, there was quite a lot of people there, but we created a beautiful flower mandala, and then we drank cacao together at ceremonial dose. And it was just at the start of my journey into working specifically with women. So my mum had just recently died at that time, and I was really wanting to honour her memory by moving into just specifically women's work. So that whole ceremony was built around that honouring of the feminine and, you know, my onward journey to work specifically with women. So that was my first experience. And I continued working with her, not even really in a way of a plant medicine. I didn't really think of her in that way at all. It was just, I work very much guided by love and the heart. So anything that resonates around the heart is always going to be within my field of work. So I realized that working with her, just taking her really, at that time I was just taking her as, you know, a daily drink really. But also realizing that my heart energy was definitely healing. And it was, you know, I really, now when I look back and knowing what I know now, was clearly down to, you know, this beautiful heart medicine. So I didn't share it in ceremony at all. I was just really working with it with her myself. And then Craig, my partner at the time, was doing a sound bath for a cacao ceremony in Huddersfield, I think it was, and asked if I wanted to go along with him. So I went, and the cacao at the time, it was like served in these massive soup bowls, and it was at ceremonial dose, and there was a big dose of it. And I remember lying down, and it was like she was just coursing through my veins and saying, work with me. And I sat up after that, and because we had the sound bath, and I said to Craig, oh my God, I've got to take this into my work. This was so powerful. So, and at the time I was also I'd also moved a lot more into dance and free dance, and I was doing chakra dance training. And so it all melded together at the same time. And I realized that I could really work with cacao and realized that there was a spirit and essence that was speaking to me whenever I took her into my body. So I started working with chakra dance and cacao, and then that transitioned into my own creation, which is spirit dance, which is free dance and cacao and ceremony, and then really just learning and just really being guided by my heart on how to create ceremony, what feels beautiful for me, and how, you know, how we can really honor, you know, honor that space really. So that kind of was my journey with her to start with. And then I think me and Nicky met, me and Nicky met at Beulah, and then we attended a cacao ceremony, didn't we, at Rising Dawn?
We did.
Together, and there was quite a lot of people there. And then after that, and I was still working with cacao, and you weren't really.
No, she never appeared again.
Appear again for Nicky, so she didn't really get really into it. And then I can't even remember how we end up working together, because I love
the way Spirit works. It's like it just happened.
It just did. So yeah, so we sort of came together, and then so I mean, I've been working with her, and then I started following a lady called Lynette Allen at the time, and she wrote this beautiful book called A Woman's Blessing, and I started to work directly with a woman's blessing in ceremony and in circle, and I've been running women's circles for about 7 years. So circle was always part of that, had become a big part of my life anyway. So it was just really transitioning from you know, working in circle. I started bringing cacao into my women's circles as well, and then I did a training with a lady, Anne, I forget her name now. Anyway, so did some training with her, and then kind of through that, I really realized how strongly connected to the feminine she was through doing that training. It was a very feminine training, and it was very much, she worked a lot with Kali energy, Kali goddess. So I really resonated with her way of training. And then, yeah, it's just been, I guess, I think through lockdown, when lockdown happened, I think maybe that's when we started. That was it, set up the Yes Academy. So I was going to move straight into training.
Oh, yeah.
Into yoga training, and we set up Yes Academy, and I wanted to buy some new-news. That was it. So I came
it came from the new-news.
We were just like, wow, like this to each other, and just really, really got on and really connected. And then lockdown happened, and then I started doing spirit dance online in the morning. So we started sitting then working with cacao every morning. So we were, you know, we had this beautiful group of women that started with about 8 of us to start with, and then now we have like 30 women dancing every morning.
Nearly a year. Even on Christmas Day.
Even Christmas Day we danced together and so yeah, so it's been beautiful. And then, you know, I think just through our interaction, we then, you know, delved a little deeper, and we actually in the midst of lockdown, we ended up spending $3,000, was it?
Five.
In the middle of lockdown, on cacao.
Wow.
Who does that?
Just fuck it. Let's just do it. Yeah. We believe in the medicine. We believe in her. You know, we'd seen women transforming in that group every day. I mean, it was really we were so inspired and excited by what free dance and cacao together was bringing, and the healing that was happening within that group, and the women that were shining every morning, and it was just beautiful. And then, yeah, so we ended up buying a big batch together, didn't we? We'd run a lovely retreat together as well.
And that's when we thought of the cacao training as well.
And then I'd woken up in one morning with this training, you must do training, and I was like, shit, like I don't know enough. There's no way do I know enough to teach people about cacao and ceremony and but it was very strong. And I said, you're right, we need to do this together. And we brought together this Oh My Goddess brand sort of together, didn't we, with our retreat. And
just say how that name came about, Oh My Goddess.
Oh yeah, so we were looking for a name for this, because we were doing this specific retreat which was to name. It was really in I'd started working with the Medicine Spoon Memorial, so we were honouring the witches that were burned and speaking their names, and we started doing it in the group, and then we said, oh, should we do a full thing, and we'll plant roses. And so we got this idea to do this thing in the middle of lockdown in the summer, and then we were like, well, you know, what do we call it? Like, I didn't want to call it a Radiant Woman retreat because it wasn't that. It was specifically something else. So we were batting around a few names, and then Nicky sent.
Well, no, you phoned me up and said, I've found somewhere.
I found somewhere, and Nicky went, oh my fucking goddess, and I went, oh, that's it. It
had to have the word fuck really in it, didn't it?
So that's how the name came about. And then so we run the retreat, and then when we came back, we were a bit, how do you even start to create your own brand of cacao? Where do you even start? And we started looking at various different options. We'd worked with quite a few different varieties of cacao, and we knew the one that we really loved the best, which was very grounding, very earthy. So we approached the guy that was supplying us with it and asked him if he would supply us in bigger quantities. And of course he said he would. Yeah. And then we ended up finding Amisel, who did us the lovely Oh My Goddess label. But really it was always Nicky's thing. It was never going to be mine. I was just we were just holding each other through that process, really, through that birthing process. I said, I'll do the first batch with you, but then once that's done, then you must take this and run with it. So, which is what's just happening now. So Nicky's now taking it and running with it. I'm more on the training side because I'm really passionate about training people well in holding space, you know, because there's a lot of, you know, I've had a lot of people have told me about where they've been in space that's been not held well and various different things. And it just, I'd had this thing to, you know, to train people to hold good space. And then, you know, I wanted Nicky to work a lot with to support that, you know, to support it as well and help me hold the space. So, so my thing is more about the ceremony holding, really, where Nicky's now going much more into depth into the plant medicine. But, you know, I mean, my experience with psychedelics is from my, you know, I was 17, I think, when I did my first trip of LSD. So, you know, I've had experience of it, but I love the gentleness of working with her. I love her. I love, you know, there is nothing purer than that moment on a morning at the dawn where you sip that first sip and you just, for me, I guess for me, cacao is earth. She is earth. And when I take her inside of me, I communicate with this huge intelligence of the earth. It's such an amazing plant medicine, and we do feel really blessed and honoured to be guided and be humble students. You know, we both completely are. We never say, you know, we know everything. We're not experts. We've just been taught and guided, and our lives have changed massively, haven't they, since. And we were saying, actually, we were having a discussion the other day about women in menopause, you know, because I've transitioned through just beginning, and you know, how she has supported, like, since I started working with her, I was going through perimenopause at the time, and I was having a really rough time. But we were just saying yesterday, when I think back to when I started working with her, you know, the minerals, everything really that she gives supports a woman through that transition so beautifully, on every single level. You know, she's purely, I feel anyway, she's purely a medicine for women, you know, really. I mean, she's for men as well, but
that was one of my questions for later, whether I was like, is it just for women? Is cacao just for women, or is it for men as well?
No, not at all. But because I think men also transition at this age, you know, I think men also have that transition. I think anywhere where the heart can be, you know, it's said that the heart energy expands from 1 foot around the body to out further than 4 foot around the body after we've drank cacao. So, you know, anywhere where we have the heart open, I mean, that's so what we need on the planet at the moment is more heart, more love, you know. And it's for me, that's, you know, if we can, you know, train people and, you know, share cacao, the ripple effect of that is huge. It's just huge, you know, and that's why we're so passionate about what we're doing, really, is that, you know, if we send one person out that will hold space, you know, we've just sent, I mean, Mary, who was one of our recent medicine carriers, is holding space for 20 plus women. So, you know, the ripple of that is huge, So, you know, it does feel so important that we do this work. You know, it's really important to us both.
Yeah. And so I've attended I've only ever made one of your spirit dances, Andrea, but, you know, having known you for a few years anyway and been to some of your stuff, you know, you do hold space like exceptionally well, you know, like 4 large groups of women, and you can feel that energy, you know, when you are doing that you're very much like in your power. And like, for me, it's like there's that feeling of like maternal protection, if you like, you know, and knowing that no matter what's going on in that space, whether I'm crying or whether I'm happy or whatever, that you're there holding everyone together.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about holding a strong space for women. Yeah, very, very passionate about that. And teaching people to do that as well, you know, really sharing it now. It's kind of that, what we were saying, the wild, wise woman phase.
Yeah,
it was funny because I was reading Nikki's post yesterday, and we were saying about the maiden, mother, and crone, and that there is a gap in that, because that transition from like perimenopause to that crone stage, there is this medicine woman for me. This is for me, I call it the medicine woman phase. Nikki called it the wise woman, the wild wise woman phase. But
and the queen and the enchantress. She's many, isn't she? She's vast.
That's kind of like, and I think the other thing is that we feel is that we really want to inspire women to really take up that space, because, you know, this is such a powerful time in our lives, and it's, you know, I think we've been taught that this is it, you know, we can't have kids anymore, life's over.
We're barren.
Our energy is so powerful at this time. So, you know, we can still do whatever, it doesn't matter what age we are. And that's one of the things I love to share, is that it's never too late. It's never too late. We, you know, our dreams, and, you know, this is
beginning.
It absolutely is. We're in such a different phase at this time, because you get where you actually don't give a shit anymore. You're like, oh my God, you feel such power within you, and it's a beautiful phase.
And I think, like you said, I think it's much needed at the minute. Sorry, I feel like I'm echoing. Because as well, like I was thinking about this the other day, you know, in terms of like having like really strong female role models. Like I was thinking about writing something for International Women's Day, and I was thinking about my past, and I'm like, I never really had any strong female role models in my life who epitomized, you know, what it means to be a strong woman and to be standing in the divine feminine power. And I feel like, you know, for yourselves, you know, you're obviously you're a little bit older than me, but, you know, it's like, it's looking up to you guys and going, right, okay, you know, like listening to your words. And like Nikki, like you said, Nikki wrote that post yesterday about menopause and about how cacao had supported her. And I was like, wow, you know, these are sort of the stories that women my age need to hear, and women who are younger, to see that actually it's not something to dread. It's not something to fear. It's not something to be worried about. There's these stages in our lives, and being able to listen to your experiences and what you're going through is going to be like, it's going to be useful for people my age and people for younger as well. So like I really admire the fact that you guys are out there and sharing your stories, you know, and being honest, because that helps others as well.
Yeah, sure, it does, because, you know, the thing is, menopause is a natural transition, just like starting our period, just like having babies. It's such a natural transition, but it's a bit like death. It just doesn't get talked about, really. It's just one of those that, you know, we don't really want to talk about that. It's nasty. It's not nice. You know, it's horrible. You just get through it. But, oh my God, it can be such a passage to power. It is a passage to power. It's amazing. And because, you know, once we stop bleeding, the energy that is used to bleed is then contained, and it's a powerful energy. It is a really powerful Shakti if we, if we really harness it in a real positive way. It can be, this it's a grieving phase. Grieving phase where we look at everything our life has, given us and gifted us, really, and also where do we want to go next? What do we want to achieve before the end of our life? What do we want to still achieve? Because we talk a lot about I often play the Songbird song by Fleetwood Mac, which is about not letting that song die inside of you, because you still have time. You always have time to and your life is not over. It's just not. It's just not. You don't have to get on your sofa with your slippers on. You can still live the night away, or do whatever you want to do, really.
Yeah.
And living freedom. It's all about freedom for me. It's all about freedom.
Definitely. Thank you, Andrea. So, Nicky, what about you? How did you begin working with cacao?
Well, before I go any further, I just want to say I'm at my mum's house. This isn't my normal decor. I'm normally in a burgundy yurt. So this is quite funny. Just needed to say that.
Fine.
So what was the question? Sorry.
So where did your foray into cacao start?
So as Andrea said, I went to Rising Dawn and I had a cacao ceremony then. That was the first. I was hearing her in the periphery, but I had really very little full awareness. Went to a cacao ceremony, but there was a lot of people at the cacao ceremony, and so that was my first experience. And then a few months passed, and then we went into lockdown. And I was aware Andrea was doing dance groups, but it's quite a distance for me to travel, so I'd never actually physically made any. And then when she started to do them online, the very first one she did was a Monday morning. So there I am at 7:45 on a Zoom. I've never done Zoom. It was my first ever experience of Zoom. So it was interesting because my background is in shamanic trance dance, which I started 15 years ago, which is a lot more of a deeper shamanic journey with breath of fire and kind of getting into trance, wearing a bandana. And so that's where I started. But I hadn't done it for many years. So there I am in my living room on a Zoom. No cacao. Cacao wasn't even in the story on that morning. Put the bandana on, started to dance. And then, so I've had experience with ayahuasca and peyote and psilocybin, and I've been really exploring plant medicine since I was about 17, really. So, and I've been really having this call to spirit to say, I really feel like I want to experience heart medicine again. But of course, with peyote and things, it's not practical to be doing this every day. So I was like, I feel like I need some support for my heart. So I put the bandana on, and then I just, basically turned into the ayahuasca vine. Started coming out my fingers, and I'm like, oh. And then Mama Cacao appeared and said, you've got to carry my medicine. And I thought, oh, Monday morning, as you do, 7:45. Okay. And so then I went onto Amazon Prime, hilarious, Amazon, the irony. And literally a bag of cacao arrived the next day. I was just like, I just need to get some ceremonial cacao. So she arrived the next day, and that was it. That was it. As soon as I drank my first cup with her, that was it. And then I started to dance every day, and we started to share medicine and dance with these women. And it just suddenly felt like, we can't be in a village. I had a whole vision of being in Guatemala. So then, it's kind of like our way of being, how we would be in a tribal way. You know, we would gather in the morning round the fire. Some women would be going off with the babies. We'd all be, you know, chatting and dancing and drinking together. And this is kind of like our modern way of being able to connect in that way. So that's how she came to me, and very clearly told me that I had to carry her medicine. So that was how that began.
Oh, wow. So can you tell me a little bit about the history of cacao then, Nicky? Like, where's it come from? Why is it having this resurgence, or why is it becoming more popular? I know it's a lot of questions in one, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, so interestingly enough, this morning I just pulled out a couple of dates, which I was like, wow, it's really interesting, because she dates back to thousands of years, really, BC. I think it's probably quite difficult to even say exactly. I mean, there's so many dates banded around about everything that I get quite lost in words. I think since I've been working with plant medicine more, it's like so many words, and we're so funny as humans. We like to pin everything down, because like the first seeds were found in Guatemala millions of years ago. So, you know, the Aztecs and Mayans were, you know, she was a revered by the gods, and used as a currency and for her magical properties. And so that journey through Mexico and all of that, that band, she grows like 20 degrees either side of the equator. So all of that. So the whole history with the Mayans and the Toltecs and the Aztecs. But how she came to us really was in the 1519. So Herman Cortes seized Mexico. So this was all part of this kind of like the Western world going over and just taking over, which is just, yeah. So then she was brought to Spain. So the Spanish suddenly had this amazing magical bean, and word started spreading, and then it was in 1815. So a Dutchman called Van Houten introduced a process called Dutching, which was defatting cacao and alkalizing. And then what we had was the mass-produced, industrialized thing that we know as cocoa. So this is when you were saying about cacao and cocoa. So cacao became cocoa, and all the fats, but it's the fats that are so important to the whole bean. So then we had cocoa, and then it was in 1879 that Nestle added milk, dairy, which is just really like the worst thing you can add. I mean, as an alchemical mix, dairy with cacao is just, yeah, just completely took away the sacred, and that was the end. So interestingly, really, cacao started to make a resurgence back in around about 2012, which is interesting, because in 2012 I was living in Ibiza, and the whole Mayan calendar, the whole 21st of December. So it's really interesting, at that time cacao suddenly came back, and it says that when the Western world is out of balance, she will leave the rainforest and come to us. So here we are, and she's come to us, and I think it's no coincidence that she's here now for us to work with. And you might notice I say she and her, and
Don't trust that.
yeah, I have a real when I hear people saying using it's like having a dagger in my own womb. Because I feel like she is part of the rise of the feminine. And so I always encourage people to say working with her. Because as soon as we refer to her as her and she, we're in relationship. Because so many things have been, tobacco, for instance, sacred tobacco starts being used, and we've just lost that sacredness. This is about bringing the sacred. You know, how many of us have just chomped chocolate bars and we've never really understood why? You know, we always crave chocolate, you know, and there's a reason for that. But this is now about sacred chocolate. This is really, really different. Really different.
It's about having respect as well, isn't it? It's the respect for it. You know, we've become so, you know, we just don't have that gratitude for anything really much anymore, do we? I mean, everything's just there. It's available. It's just there. And it is about having, you know, that sacred time and just having real respect for the plants and the earth. You know,
well, it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. It's like the chances are of us even having this sacred cacao, when to actually really, can I just geek out and tell you how she gets here, because it just blows your brain. Just blows your brain. Is that, you know, so she only grows in this very small band. She has to grow in only specific areas, so the rainfall has to be absolutely right. I found out this morning she actually picks up the she picks up flavors of anything growing around her. So she may pick up coconut and vanilla and just whatever's around at that time. So she's absolutely sensitive, and so she needs shade and she needs rain and she needs all these things. She's one of the very few trees that has the fruit and the flowers at the same time. So in a year, and everything grows on the trunk of the tree. So these amazing flowers, there may be 6,000 flowers in a year. But because she's so tiny, these amazing flowers, she's not pollinated by bees. She's pollinated by a very, very tiny, tiny midge-like fly. So the pollination rate can be as low as 10%. It's just a miracle, because everything has to be exactly right before she's even pollinated. Then once she's pollinated by these tiny flies, you will get about 20 pods, which are about this big, like a kind of rugby ball shape, and they come in different colours. And so you only get 20 of those in a year on one tree.
Wow.
Or one tree, 20 pods.
Wow.
In each pod, so when and it takes 5 years for those trees to mature. So once that's open, and they've got to be cut really, really gently, and when they're open, you will get on average about 40 of the beans inside, somewhere between 20 and 60, so an average of 40. So you've got these beans inside in this white kind of sticky substance that's holding them. So on that basis, and that's in a year. So I got a bit geeky the other day, and I was like, so how many beans does it take to make our cacao? Like, what? I'm a bit of a geek. And
no, it's fascinating. This. Like,
I always on the calculator going, bloody hell. So really what it works out as is, for a 15-gram serving of cacao, takes about 13.2 beans.
Wow.
And when you consider a pod has 40. So one bag of our cacao is about 2/3 of a tree of a year. So we are incredibly blessed, because it's not just then, it's then the whole process from them then being collected, Then they have to go through a fermentation process for about 8 days. If that's not done correctly, it can all be destroyed. Then they're dried, often in the sun. And then the cacao we have, which makes it so beautiful and special, is it's not roasted. She is toasted at a really, really gentle, by hand, a really gentle temperature. And you need that temperature to so unlike cacao powder, which is blasted and has none of the nutritional qualities, that's all blasted out. So this is gently roasted to take the water out. You need the water to come out, so otherwise it should go moldy. Also, the toasting enhances the compounds that we need, the anandamide, phenylanthamine. So the toasting process is really important. And then from there, there's the hulling process, and then there's the grinding process to make the paste. So the actual process, so that we get this amazing, so it's got many names. It could be cacao liquor, cacao paste. People say, why is it called ceremonial cacao, and what's the difference? So this is because nothing is, in ceremonial cacao, nothing is taken out and nothing is added. Literally got the full range of everything from bean to paste. So we get all of these incredible nutrients. We get all the minerals. So there's nothing else on the planet with as much magnesium as cacao. So for menopause, magnesium, zinc, copper, vitamin C even. I mean, she's absolutely loaded with minerals which really keep us grounded. And again, back to the menopause, we can often feel ourselves all over the place and we don't get minerals in our soil. So the minerals keep us really grounded. So then antioxidants, one of the most powerful antioxidants, again, on the planet. But it's the compounds that make me the most excited. Anandamide is only found in humans and in cacao. Anandamide is the bliss molecule. So it's about like the cannabinoids. So when we got really into CBD oil became really, everybody got really excited because it's one of the cannabinoids that activates, that's in us anyway. So it's like a neurotransmitter. So when we take that into our body, which is already within us, it's like a circuit. They touch, and in our brain, so it releases bliss. So anandamide is just such, and she's found nowhere. And ananda comes from the Sanskrit word for bliss. So we feel this amazing bliss from her. And then phenylanthamine is another compound which is found in cacao and blue-green algae. That's the love molecule. And again, we get that also when we orgasm, when we exercise, that amazing feeling of where everything, you're just at one. So she also provides that, which is just amazing. So she's just absolutely full of magic.
Wow. And like, I didn't even comprehend or think really where cacao came from. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm sure it comes from a bean, but I didn't really understand the whole process that it's gone through. So where do you get your cacao from? Because you mentioned earlier there's a foundation, isn't there, where you get your cacao from?
So this cacao the cacao that we work with comes from the Peruvian Andes, and she's sourced directly from local farmers, cooperatives. So the whole process. So Gavin from Cacao Love has been working with cacao for 15 years. He lives in Africa. He lives in Kenya with his beautiful partner, Diane. And so they've been together for many years and have traveled the world doing cacao ceremonies and sourcing most amazing cacao. And they go directly, and They have a personal relationship with the farmers. These are small farms. None of this is mass produced. This is small farmers getting really good, fairly traded. The whole thing is a personal story. And then what's so exciting about this cacao also is that Gavin and Diane are giving 40% of all cacao sales. So when we invest £5,000 in cacao, 40% of that is going to this amazing project that they are very involved with called Abando. And Abando is a non-governmental organisation which provides support for indigenous tribes and people in Gabon. They're really badly affected at the moment by what's happening in the world, and so our money's being used for helping the local harpists be able to make these beautiful goddess harps that are now being shipped around the world. Also mojitos, these big torches of humanity, first torch of humanity, made by the African indigenous tribes. They're now being shipped around the world. Children's educations and orphanages, and recently a large chunk of our money has gone to an elephant sanctuary as well, of elephants that have been poached and are now being helped to heal so they can go back into the wild. So it's really a very wholesome thing. It's helping our hearts here. It's helping people in Gabon. It's supporting cooperative farmers in Peru. She's just spreading a love all over, isn't she?
Definitely. And I think, like Andrea said as well before, you know, like, so like I've been drinking the cacao, Nikki, thank you for that, like every day this week. And for me, that's the first time, I suppose, like I've really incorporated that ceremony into like a daily sort of ritual for myself. And so there's a song that I love on YouTube which sings about, you know, thanking it for its source of life and source of love. And I just start singing it and whisking it up, and really, like when I'm drinking it, you know, being really grateful and thanking it. And then, like you both said, you know, I can feel it so much around my heart chakra. And like you both said, you know, it feels like a really gentle introduction for people into ceremony and into opening the heart chakra. And as we're working on our own heart chakra, then going out into the world, it's like this massive ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, we were saying in the morning, that, you know, that early morning time is, I mean, just in simplicity, to sit and light a candle. We were just having this conversation that it should be, it doesn't have to be a huge ceremony. It can just be literally lighting a candle, sitting with the dawn, really tuning into nature and just sitting with her, that in its simplicity. If you did that for a month, your life would be so different. You know, it's so simple. Like, I love simplicity in ceremony. I love grand ceremony, but I love simplicity. And actually, when we do it every day, it's actually a ritual, because rather than a ceremony. So it's actually, when we're working with her every day, it's ritual that we do every day. Just like you get up and have a cup of coffee on a morning, a cup of tea. It's just the same. It's just that for me, it is drawing us back to a remembering of the sacred essence that is inside of us. And, you know, we need to remember that now. We've got a new world ahead of us now, you know, a new world where we need to be more aware, more awake, more alive, more, you know, in our heart space. And if just sitting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning to commune with your heart, the wisdom of your heart, and get these heads out of the way, because these heads have got no use anymore. We need to be in our heart now.
We do.
New world coming forwards, and she helps with that so much. She supports that beautiful time, that sacred time, so much.
So what would your advice be? So if someone has never like begun to drink cacao or work with cacao, What would you recommend they do first? Oh, show
I
us.
just thought I'd show you.
I was going to say, show us the bag as well, because the packaging as well is
So
beautiful.
this is the beautiful packaging. So this was a gorgeous girl. Oh, can you see?
No,
Yeah,
that's
The beautiful Amiswell. So she's just this beautiful artist in Czechoslovakia who designed this, and the whole idea of the design of this was heart at the center, butterflies for transformation. We wanted her arms open to receive. We wanted her eyes closed so that there was this sense of going inwards. Everything about this design was really, and it doesn't mean that unless you've got feathers in your ears and spiral tattoos on your arm, that's not what she's about. She's just symbolic of all that is about transformation and love. So this is what you receive, and then inside you get like this incredible rock-like piece of medicine that smells utterly divine, and so you have this big chunk, and it's so lovely just to really feel her and connect with her, and so anybody that's sort of starting out, really, so she's just to take that time to really don't just bang her in the kitchen cupboard with everything else, find maybe a glass jar, or put her in a place in the kitchen, and have a special little chopping board that you only work with her on, not something that everybody uses for everything. So have a knife and a little pan, and really have tools that are really just for her.
Yeah.
Treat it as your lover, she's your lover. If your lover came round, you wouldn't just like, when you're having a lover for the first time and you always want to make it really extra special.
Yeah.
Treat her as your lover and treat her as your best friend, and yeah. What would you say about?
Sorry, I was just going to say one thing, Nikki. So in terms of like trying to, when I'm trying to get the exact measurements, and I'm trying to get the knife in, and I'm like, it flies everywhere. I got the grater out the other day. I was like, shall I take it?
Yeah. So what I find with her is, if you have quite a sharp knife, a big sharp knife, and grate slowly down. And what I tend to do with mine, I think Nikki does similar, is we cut it all up straight away. And so we do the whole block straight away, put it into a jar, and then you can just measure it out with a spoon. So it takes a little bit of time when you get your first block, but that time.
Do you remember us when the first 30-kilo block arrived? We didn't know what we were doing.
We got, and they come in.
It's not fucking funny.
Chisels to do it, and I was like, and this cacao was flying all over the room. I'm looking at her, we've got 8 massive blocks to chop away and bag. And I'm looking at her, going, it's not fucking funny. We've what
we're doing. $5,000 and we don't know what we're doing.
Come into it.
I wish you video that. That would be like hilarious.
Oh, what a journey, honestly. And it's really funny because I was obsessed when I was 7 years old. I was a weird kid. I was like living on my own. I was an only child. Well, I wasn't living on my own, but I was an only child living in Hull. And it was the 70s, and I was obsessed, literally, like weirdly. Obsessed with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I used to read the book every week from cover to cover, and I was completely obsessed with Oompa Loompas, and I was obsessed with this idea that Oompa Loompas came from this far off land, because they talk about the bean, and I was like, I knew somewhere when I was little that there was more to chocolate than met the eye, and I finally I'm like, and then the film Chocolat, of course. So I would recommend anybody, if they really want to understand the psychology of chocolate and cacao, because that's about Guatemalan cacao, and she's a woman who's traveled the world with her child on her own and lives in a little village, a bit like my life really, and the shame around pleasure This is the thing. This is a really key thing, is that this is about us releasing this shame. And I really couldn't come to me that. I just wanted to quickly share the myth around Ix Cacao. So Ix Cacao, so there's Quetzalcoatl, who was the Mayan god of chocolate. But I really honor on my altar Ix Cacao. And that's spelled Ixcaco. So Ix Cacao, she was like the goddess, or is the goddess of love, compassion, and chocolate. And she was in the fields, the women were drinking her, the children, everything was abundant, everything was alive, and everything was full of joy, of creativity, of love, of music, of lovemaking, of passion. Beautiful. Then the bloody gods, right? So this feels in a way what's happening on a big level. This is how I feel. It's what's happening, like has been happening for millennia. Was the gods realized, oh, she's like a natural Viagra, and she is. So she's really kind of a natural, what's the word, aphrodisiac. So the men locked Ix Cacao into the palace, locked her up, and they started drinking cupfuls of it, 80 cupfuls a day, and they were shagging all the concubines, and they banned the women and children from drinking her. Right? Twats. So then,
I'm pleased you said that.
so then the fields went barren. Everything stopped. The music stopped. The happiness stopped. The children couldn't work with her. The women couldn't, and there was just the men in the palace locking her up while they shagged everything all day, 80 cupfuls. So really, how I see this, by her coming out of the palace and us going, shivers, we're back again, is that we're reclaiming joy, music, laughter, creativity, passion. So this is, for me, a really important story of the myth of Ix Cacao.
Yeah,
definitely. And it's really interesting, Nikki, that you said that, because I was just sharing with Nikki and Andrea, for those who are watching, that I've been reading this brilliant book, highly recommend, Psychedelic Mysteries of the Feminine. And in there they talk about the fact how plant medicine, so whether it's cacao, or I can never say the word for the mushrooms, or whatever plant it is, you know, it's like these rules were put in place to suppress us as women, because we recognize the sacredness all those eons ago, and we would working with them, you know, to create that magic and to bring that joy, like you said, and everything else, Nikki. And then it was like, oh, we're just going to take it away from them, because you know, we're going to just suppress them instead and just tell them what they can and can't do. Whereas like I feel like this year there's definitely this rising, and it's like, you know what, fuck off. So
and I think also with the dancing as well, because that was one of the big things for me, was that women were corseted. They were corseted up so they couldn't move, really, basically, because when women dance, and when they dance together, it is very powerful. Women start to really access their inner power as well. And dancing with cacao, I mean, it's just, I mean, it was all about freedom for us, isn't it? It's all been about freedom, about, as much as we've been compressed and contained through this last year, we have danced freedom onto this planet every single day, and we have made sure that everyone has gone out of that circle every morning feeling bloody free. Because that is what life is about. It's about freedom, no matter what age we are, to do what the hell we want to do at any time, at any, you know, it's all about empowerment for us, isn't it? We want to really work with her to empower women, you know, to be all that they want to be. No limit on anything, you know, no matter, we don't give a shit about lockdown. We've never given a shit about it. We have every day, haven't we? Anyway, we've done it anyway.
Absolutely. We kind of like eagles, just flying above it all. Flying above it all. And I wanted to say about the dose, you know, what's been so profound is, so for a daily, I say serving. I'm going to say the word serving, and the reason it says serving on the back is because if we start talking about doses, you get the bloody authorities on your back saying dose. You've got to be so careful about language. So serving about 15 to 20 grams a day is really a really lovely heart-opening serving. And again, you can I have mine just with water. It's really important not to boil her, so take the water off the heat, because boiling can really destroy the compounds. So I just literally have mine plain with water, but you can be as elaborate as you want. You can add, but never dairy milk, never sugar. So plant milk, if you really need to sweeten her, which she's really creamy, but if you need natural sweeteners, it's really nice to put a bit of chili, a bit of salt, play. You know, there's so much information out there. But what I wanted to say was, for a ceremonial dose, somewhere between 35 and max 42 grams, really, because any more than that and you can get a bit sicky and a bit headachy. But Andrea's Kali dance, where we do the monthly ceremonies, where that's like an hour of dance, and the mornings are obviously much lighter, but the one I did with Andrea, which was the Kali one, and it's a much deeper playlist and an hour with intention, with 42 grams of cacao. I had probably one of the greatest soul retrievals I've had after 15 years of deep shamanic work. That's the power of cacao, because she just takes you there. So at ceremonial level, she can really, really shift. And it's not uncomfortable either. It's not a big, arduous, purging brr. She just gently takes you to the places that need work. So I really honour Andrea's work because it's so profound.
I'd love to know more about the Kali monthly ones, Andrea. So you'll have to share those in the group if that's all right.
We've got one tonight, actually.
Have you?
Got a session tonight. It's a Lakshmi goddess session, a bit gentle tonight, but yeah, we're working with Lakshmi at the moment. But yeah, we've got one tonight, and I'm going to be doing those the first Sunday in the month.
Fabulous. So I'll have to get the link off you, and then I'll share it in the group. So if anyone wants to join, then they can do. But yeah, it's interesting because Carly came through to me just a couple of weeks ago, and it was this massive, like, I could just see it, and there was this transformation and everything else, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I feel like you said, you know, that the cacao is a very gentle medicine and gentle transformation. So I'm just going to quickly share with you guys some of the comments. I don't know if you can see them can you see the chat box? No. Okay. So I'll just quickly share some of this. So one guy said, I don't know who it is, but someone said that they miss some of the points of cacao. These ladies explain things better. Helps us to connect with those we are missing. Such pure magic. I'm going to try that in alignment. Someone said they'd love to buy some, so I've posted your website, Nikki. Some people have said so funny. Where else? Nikki's cracking me up right now.
She does. She cracks me up every day, honestly. We have such a laugh, don't we? Oh, God.
Oh, we do. Because this is the thing, you don't have to be too hippie about this, you know.
This is something I shared earlier. I'm like, I don't know if you saw, but like I did a video on Instagram where I jumped on the zip wire, and I was like, finding your inner child doesn't have to be serious. Spiritual work doesn't have to be serious.
No, absolutely not.
You know what? She loves you exactly as you are. I mean, sometimes in the morning, I'm whisking my cacao, running down to the yurt with my laptop under my arm, spilling it. Bloody hell! And I appear on the screen with feathers in my hair, and everybody would think that's what I look like all the time. And I think, no, it's real, and this is really what we're passionate about. Is you can look on the internet at cacao and ceremonial cacao, and you can see them. And I said to Andrew the other day, I said, not that I'm averse to white wearing and feather wearing at all, but you could look at that and think it's for young, hippie, trendy, and all of that. And actually, if you sat in your bloody onesie on the sofa, as long as your intention's there, doesn't matter. It does not matter. It matters that you get your medicine and that you feel good. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't mean, it's like I've been working with noo-noos for 20 years. That's why it's nice to have a change. For 20 years, all I've done is noo-noos. And when I started with noo-noos, like, 20 years ago on the festy scene, it pissed me right off because it was like everybody was like this bohemian hippie thing. And like, I was like, no, everybody needs a noo-noo. And people would arrive on the field feeling really shitty and I'd wrap them up and they'd be like, oh. And now my noo-noos go to little old grannies in Scotland and babies. And I want to normalize these things because otherwise people feel really inadequate. And it's like, everybody's a miracle. Everybody deserves a noo-noo and everyone deserves cacao. Everybody.
Exactly. No, I'm completely like agree with you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it is normalizing it and going, look, it's not just for like hippies. And, you know, I remember saying I don't do flowing skirts. Do you know what I mean? I've tried them. I'm like, in the summer, I'm like, my thighs rub together and I prefer like my pants. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, but then at the same time, I like dressing up and I like wearing makeup. And do you know, there's so much stuff so normalizing it.
Oh, welcome. We're constantly changing, aren't we? We're women. We're changing every minute.
Exactly. We say that every morning, don't we? We're just welcome here, whatever we are. We're just welcome here. We just welcome ourselves, accept ourselves exactly as we are, and it's just beautiful when you see women start to do that and really start to get it. That, you know, one of our affirmations in the morning is, "I am here and I am enough, exactly as I am." Because all of this conditioning that we've had, that we're not enough if we're not young and we're not, you know, slim and we're not, you know, it's just, it needs to stop. Bollocks. Exactly. Bollocks. Yeah.
Bollocks.
Nikki, somebody's just asking, what is a noo-noo? So do you just want to explain what a noo-noo is before we tie up?
Here, I've got one.
Oh, have you got a noo-noo? I got a noo-noo. I'm at my mum's.
This is a blanket. It's a lovely blanket. Yeah.
I'll put it on. Do us a little modelling, Andrea. Show us it on. Beautiful, gorgeous robe, so you can have your noo-noo, drink your cacao, and all is well with the world. You're transformed into a medicine woman overnight. Everyone can be a medicine woman. There you go.
So all you need is a noo-noo and cacao.
Cacao and that's it.
Drop into your medicine woman phase of life. It's so freeing. It's so beautiful. Such a celebration.
I love it. You know what it is? This chat has probably been one of the most fun ones I think that I've had so far. But so, Andrea, if people want to find you, where is the best place that people can find out more about your ceremonies and your dancing and everything?
So my website is radiantwoman.me, www.radiantwoman.me. Actually, probably the best place at the moment is just on my Andrea Jackson Facebook page as well. You can get all the links there. We've got a Spirit Dance Daily community Facebook group as well, which you can Google, you can, you know, search for, and you can request to be added in there as well.
And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you? If people want to follow you.
Woman.me on Instagram as well. Yeah, sure. And then Nikki's at the Oh My Goddess. Now.
Yeah, so I've got an I've just started. I'm not very good at social media. I'm like a bit of an introvert, really. So this is a bit of a right, get yourself out there. So I've got Oh My Goddess ceremonial cacao page. So I've started doing a cacao geek thing, so little nuggets of things that I'm inspired by, just to kind of break it down. And so I've got that, and I've got Oh My Goddess ceremonial cacao Instagram, and the website's ohmygoddess.uk, and you can also get cacao from radiantwoman.me.
Yes, I sell it.
So you can get it from either of us. And also, for anybody interested, I do wholesale. Or if you want to buy 20 bags, I do a really good wholesale price if you want to sell that out into your community and to your tribe.
So yeah, someone's just asking if I can post all the pages and websites in the group. So when this is finished, then I'll put all the links into the YouTube and into the Facebook group as well. So if people want to connect with you guys, then they can find you there. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes.
It's been amazing. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care, lovelies.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.